So my name is Cork McGowan. This is for the Shasta County Democratic Central Committee, and I'm interviewing Pamela Swartz, who is a candidate for Senate District 1. As I mentioned to you, Pamela, we're going to put this up on our website for people to look at, to give them an opportunity to get an idea to better know who you are and what you're running for and so forth. How are you doing with this whole thing with the pandemic and the sheltering in place and the masks and all the rest of it? How are you and your family?
You know, actually, we're doing all right, to be honest with you. We have definitely been wearing masks. I have my mask right here that I wear around.
You don't need to have it on for the interview, though.
No, actually, we had somebody come over to the house a little bit today, and I put my mask on. I ended up with these big lines on my face, so I'm glad that they were gone now.
Oh, good.
No, we've been wearing our masks from the very beginning, actually, before it was required or suggested. Definitely been distancing ourselves from people. So we've been doing okay, actually. I'm very thankful for that.
Good. I remember when going to the grocery store wasn't that much of an adventure, but it certainly is these days. So why don't you tell us why you decided to run for, what motivated you and why you decided to run for State Senate District 1?
So you're right, I am running for State Senate District 1, and it's a very large district, actually. It has 11 counties, nine total counties and 2 partial counties. So it's quite a big piece of geographical land. And the reason why I'm running is because I'm frankly fed up with the way that the system is going. I don't like the inequality in our world, in our government. I don't like the fact that corporations are seemingly running the show. And I'm really upset. And I feel like our district, our northeastern corner of California, is not represented. The working people, the people who are homeless, the environment. I just don't think that we're being represented well with our current representatives in the state, and also, of course, obviously in the federal. So that's why I'm running. I feel like I am definitely a fresh voice. I've never been employed by state, local, or federal entities. I've been a small business owner now for 31 and counting years. It's a skincare company. I also am a barefoot horse trimmer, so I have 2 jobs as an entrepreneur. And I thought, you know, there's nobody looking out for me. I'm spending thousands of dollars a year on health insurance premiums. You know, our homeowners insurance got canceled. We had to scramble to get new homeowners insurance.
Oh, wow.
So it's time that we have some really solid representation, someone who's not part of the system but wants to go in and represent the people.
And so how would your leadership differ from our current leadership?
Leadership? Who's leadership?
Okay. Representation maybe is a better word, is a more accurate word.
Yeah.
How would your representation be different? What would it look like?
Well, for starters, I would be pounding my fist on the table for single-payer healthcare throughout all of California. Right now, I'm paying nearly $10,000 a year just to have medical premium insurance. I think that's crazy. I feel fortunate to be able to buy it, but it is at the cost of other things. I also believe that in terms of the homeless situation in our district and throughout all of California, I mean, we do have 157 billionaires in the state of California, and we have over 1 million millionaires in California, and we have about 150 to 180 homeless people, brothers and sisters, sleeping on the street every night. So I would be absolutely advocating for those people who are less fortunate. Education-wise, I went to UC Berkeley. I graduated with a degree in forestry and wildlife management. I grew up in Redding, 7th grade through high school, and I had to leave our district in order to go to a university. So I really would like to push forward having Shasta College become a CSU university, whether whatever that looks like. I think that it's really important that our district has some higher education opportunities for those people that would be a perfect location. So people living in Shasta, Siskiyou, Modoc, Lassen, they don't have to drive and go so far from their families. So those are some of the big key things. And then environmentally, I have been learning about and completely enamored by biomass facilities. I think that they are a complete no-brainer. And I really think that we need to be pushing hard to have a biomass facility every 100, 150 miles in our district. It helps with fire mitigation, obviously reduces homeowners insurance, because I believe it will protect homes and property and commercial property. So those are some of the things I would like to work on hard, very aggressively.
Okay. Let's say that you were in office right now, and as you're aware, the shelter in place has been in effect for about 6 weeks, and it's our dog guarding our yard from birds. My son's dog, actually.
Squirrel.
Yeah, right. Don't say that too loud. But anyway, yeah, the shelter in place has been, it's been happening about 6 weeks now, and there's been a number of, there's more and more conversations about, returning, quote unquote, returning to normal. And particularly up here, there's only been, in Shasta County anyway, there's been, I think, 26 cases of the coronavirus and 3 deaths. In Modoc, there's no cases and no deaths, and kind of around us, being more rural, the virus has not manifested itself yet, and we don't know if it's here or not. And so, what would you do again if you were in office today? What would you be considering looking at as far as dealing with the situation at hand?
Well, I have to say, before I get into all that, I just want to say that what I think Governor Newsom has been doing has been fantastic. We were one of the first states actually to shelter in place. He is following the science. I listened to his at noon, his briefings every single day. Yeah, very science-based, looking for flattening the curve. We have flattened the curve. I want to commend all of the Californians that are listening, anybody who's listening, thank you for doing that. I know it's a hassle. I know it's economically challenging, but we're saving lives. There's no question we've been saving lives. And I think that we have a really good model for doing that. So in terms of how we go back to normal, I made a Facebook post actually that I don't want to go back to normal. Normal means that people aren't being able to put food on their table. They can't afford their health insurance. They don't know whether they're going to send their kids to college. I want a better normal. I want a normal where we have been actually seeing over the past 6 to 8 weeks has been, to me, remarkable and really heartwarming. There have been so many people offering help to other people. We've had this public-private collaboration of people coming together and making things actually as better as possible as we can for everybody. So I'd like to continue that community building, those efforts, and also in terms of opening up our economy again. I think it's going to be in small incremental changes with that. And of course, based on science. We don't want to be reinfecting people. There's no question that the virus is in our population. We are fortunate because we live in rural districts. But in Nevada County, we've got, 30 or so, maybe more people who have been tested positive, but we don't have enough tests. So how do we know who has it? We don't know who's had it. We don't know who's been exposed to it. We don't know who's carrying it for 2 weeks before they actually show us symptoms. So there needs to be a lot of more testing. And I'd be pushing for that. And just like the governor is doing, pushing. We need to get that testing done so we know what we're dealing with.
What is happening in your town as far as the whole situation? I mean, do people
Nevada
wear masks?
City, yeah. And actually, I would say, well, I go to the store about every 2 weeks and just shop like crazy, so I don't have to go into town. But every time I go into town, it is a remarkable difference in terms of how many more people are wearing masks. And we also have a lot of, I have a few of my friends who are making those fantastic cloth masks, and they put in an area where you can put in an N95 filter, or they use the HEPA filters, or they've been getting very creative with that. So it's been heartwarming to see people actually taking it more seriously. But the city is super quiet. The little downtowns are so quiet. It's definitely going to negatively impact our economy in Nevada County. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be a struggle coming back definitely. Well, as you're aware, we're in a very red district.
Yes.
And particularly up here, your opponent is a farmer, and and he's been around for a while and has the backing of a lot of, special interest groups, the farming industry and so forth. And so what kind of ways are you going to be looking to use to connect with voters in what it's going to be an uphill fight, I think. And I commend you for taking it on. How are you going to reach out? How are you going to connect with these voters who are, more red than blue?
Yes. Well, obviously having the shelter in place makes it more difficult for everybody, actually. And as a blue challenger to a red district, it makes it actually really difficult. But I'm not going to let that get me down, because like I mentioned earlier, people are stepping up and helping each other. They're calling in on their neighbors to check out how their neighbors are doing. They're making masks. People are going grocery shopping for each other. It doesn't really matter if you're red or blue or purple or green or whatever you may be. I think that there's a certain level of humanity that we're all feeling and experiencing during this scary time and uncertain time. So that gives me hope with humanity. But in terms of specific policies, Brian Daly has been in the Assembly and now in the Senate for a bit of time, and he does have a voting record. And I have been closely examining his voting record, as well as my team. We have a few people who are helping me.
Good.
And it is becoming quite clear, also based upon looking at the financing of his campaigns and of his campaigns in the past.
His donors.
As donors, yes. But it's interesting to see that similar donors are donating each time, which means that, maybe they might donate the first time just to see if it's worth their while. And then the next go around, similar donors, the same ones, are donated again, which means that they got a little return on investment in terms of voting. And so when I look at his voting record and I look at what our people and the working people and the families need in our district, it's an interesting juxtaposition. So I find that talking about policies and issues like that, I think will be very beneficial and shed some light just to reveal how the voting record has been going, not necessarily for the people of our district.
Okay.
I can give you a couple examples.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. One example is, and just in terms of climate, voting against increasing the tax rebate for electric vehicles in California. It did pass because we are a supermajority. But here we are in the middle of a tinderbox, and this year it's going to be probably worse because we don't have any rain. And we had less rainfall and snowfall. So here we have an opportunity to really to advocate and to encourage people to purchase electric vehicles, which would reduce our carbon footprint and help make our forests healthier. And voting against increasing that that tax rebate, I think, is negative, is a negative move. Also, voting against public banking for cities and counties. He did that as well. And as we know, we have a large cannabis industry now that it's legal in California, but just in general, we have a large cannabis industry. And if we want to bring those folks into the mainframe of real business, and as a business owner, I can tell you it's really handy to have legitimate place to bank and to pay your taxes. And so not to be able to, to vote against public banking. Thankfully, again, it did pass in the state of California.
Right.
But why send all that money for banks back to the Wall Street when we can have it right here in California in our district?
True. Okay, well, I've got two more things, and I'm trying to keep this short in the hopes that everybody will watch it to the end. So we'll see.
Oh, I hope so. Please watch.
Okay. The first question is, you're probably aware of the situation now with the funding of the US Post Office and the fact that we're in danger of losing the post office and so forth. And so could you comment briefly about that?
Well, I'm a small business owner. I have an e-business. I use the post office every single day to get my shipments out to clients. It is crucial. And also being a more rural district, e-businesses are really, really a good fit for our more rural district. Mind you, we all need broadband, so that brings up a whole other thing. And so that's another thing that I would definitely be pushing for. But I find it pretty awful that we would even consider not funding and helping out the post office. And again, it goes back to donor money. I mean, FedEx and UPS and all those other carriers are big donors to the Republican Party. And to defund the post office has always been a little bit of a target, I think.
Right, I agree. Okay. And and so the last thing is, we covered a lot of topics, and you've been very gracious, with your time and so forth. I know you're busy. Is there anything else that you would like to reinforce, add, comment on that we haven't covered yet as sort of a way of closing?
Absolutely.
Okay, go ahead.
First of all, I just want to say thanks again for allowing me to do this opportunity.
You're very welcome.
And to record it. And I certainly hope that people watch it. I do have a website. It's Pamela for Senate, FORSenate.com. You can email me directly from there. I really want to view this as a collaborative approach. I am a working class person. I'm not coming from money. I don't have special interests funding my campaign. It is people powered, grassroots powered. And I am extremely proud to say that. I'm also really proud to be a California Democrat with how we're leading the flattening of the curve and how we're taking care of the working people and the disenfranchised in our communities. So with that, but also too, people don't know me, and I'm hoping over the next several months you get a chance to know me. What I say is what I mean. I don't talk sideways. I'm very, very straightforward. And over the past 30 some odd years, our district has been red. And I want to ask people, is your life better than it was 4 or 5 years ago? Are you struggling more? Are you happier? Do you like what you see around you over the past 30 years? And, give somebody new a shot. Give me a chance. Give me 4 years. If you don't like what I do and you don't like how I'm saying it and you don't like how I'm advocating for you, then send me back to my place in Nevada City and I'll go away. But you don't know what you're missing until you try something new, because we know what we've always had for the past 30 some odd years under Republican representation. And I would venture to say it hasn't represented the people of our district very well. And I would like to just also invite people to contact me, any questions or comments. I like that. I like to have interactions.
Good. But I'm going to go ahead and stop recording here in a second. And I wanted to thank you again. And I intend to do this again. It's been very nice conversing with you.
Yeah.